and Communications, our dear brother Labram Marco, for this good governance tour. It is true that we had a discussion on this before we started, and the governors collectively approved that this exercise should be undertaken. And I think it was worth it. My dear wife, Mrs. Sekaite Unama Godswill Akpabio, the Deputy Governor and the 45%, Mrs. Valerie Ebe, distinguished senators of the Federal Republic led by Senator Aloy Shisetu, of course, my dear brother, the minister, let me respect all protocols and once again welcome the entire good governance team. Thank you for being with us in the last 48 hours and welcome my dear women who have turned up in large numbers. Honourable Minister, you have not given me the opportunity of saying anything. So I want to thank all those who spoke on my behalf, because some of the things you said were things I would have loved to say. It's not possible for a government to do everything, but at least the government can lay the basic foundation based on available resources. And when I was sitting down and listening to some of the questions that could come sometimes from somebody who will call himself Chris Akpan, writing all the way from Venezuela, and then I will be asking, and sometimes you see Gomwok, Haruna, asking questions about marginalization of Eket, and I wonder how Gomwok, Haruna knows about Eket. So you could see that it is good that the social media is functioning, and the questions are well crafted by the opposition and sent to us here. What you have just witnessed, even from the questions, you said I should not be angry, so I'm not going to be angry with the questions. But I will answer the question from the answer or from the speech of the Pronaco, the young friend that came from Pronaco, Mr. Okuniyi. He said that he wants to apologize to me, that he was one of those who used to criticize me a lot, and that he issued a lot of letters of, I don't want to use the word condemnation and all that. And when he was saying it, I was just admiring him. It takes a man of integrity to admit the truth. Today, through the good governance tour, I have made a new friend. I'm now a friend of Pronaco because he stood here and commended the efforts I've made in the last 6 years. So I want to thank you for your truthfulness. I think you should take a bow. I think you should take a bow. I actually saw some of the things you wrote were so terrible. Sometimes I used to wonder, I said, is he writing about me? When you call an elected governor a kidnapper, and he kidnaps teachers, he kidnaps primary school children, and then sometimes I say, so what is the governor kidnapping for? They say he wants to get money for re-election. So the teacher will now, I'll kidnap the teacher, and Pronaco will condemn it. It will be on the internet. The man has done it again. And then if somebody's wife is kidnapped, they will say he's kidnapping so he can stop the husband from challenging him in the next election. Everything about kidnap and insecurity, as far as my state was concerned, was about the next election, about the next election. Sometimes they will say the governor is impatient. He doesn't want anybody to contest against him. That's why, that's why he's kidnapping. So that I will kidnap everybody that would have voted for me. At the end, during the election, I will go with my wife and then I will vote for myself. And then INEC will declare me a winner. So I heard those things. Sometimes, as a father and as somebody who has a family, I used to feel very sad. But that is one of the prices we have to pay for leadership. And when I looked at it, I had consolation where Reverend Akwa started. I went to a place one day when he saw some of the condemnations and some of the things, and then what was on ground was different from what was on the internet and what was on the newspapers. We don't have any national tabloid from this state. And so one day he just looked at me in a public function. He said, I've been in this state for over 30 years. I'm a son of the soil. Your Excellency, I want to tell you, it is the mango tree that bears the sweetest fruit that gets the greatest amount of stones. If you were not working and you were not changing things, you will not be so criticized. Even my dear President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, was shocked when he made his first visit here, because that was not the story he was told in the villa. He commissioned 17 projects in one day. In fact, I must thank him because he honored me. One of the communities that complain now in the question about Eket, one of the communities that complain now, the president had to risk his life. He flew in an helicopter by 6:30 in the evening to go and land in Ibom to commission a brand new general hospital, which was built by my administration, started and completed by me in Panak, in Ibom, for the use of the people. And they have never had a hospital since Nigeria had independence in 1960. I don't know whether the chairman of Ibom is here. Chairman, can you confirm that? Please sit down. It is functional now. I don't know how far the good governance tour went, but I would have loved you to go there. Then you hear directly from the people the testimonies of those whose lives have been touched. People who would have died in between there and the general hospital in Eket. That was done by this government. And the president was very happy. He said, don't call it a cottage hospital, call it a general hospital. This is fantastic with all the modern facilities. So I will not want to go into issues of what we have done and what we have not done. I just want to thank all those who have asked questions and assure them that if I had all the money, what they not do to Godswill Akpabio? It happened to Jesus Christ. Even when he made the blind to see, he made the lame to walk, he turned water into wine, and yet the Sadducees and the Pharisees did not allow Jesus to live. Eventually, they falsely accused him, and Jesus was crucified. If it can happen to God, then how can you complain about a human being? But what we need to do is to behave like Christ, to focus on the mandate given to us as leaders in this country, to deliver on our promises to the people, irrespective of the attacks. We must focus on what we came to do. For me, I believe that there is no permanent governor. You only have permanent secretary in government. So every day means a lot. Honorable Minister, before I answer their questions, let me just point out that there is no local government in my state that has not enjoyed at least 100 people-oriented projects. At least 100. Now we have 31 local governments, and we have done over 4,000 interministerial jobs, over 4,000. Either in terms of electrification, in terms of rural electrification, in terms of building of classroom blocks, in terms of water, provision of water. There is no local government in Akwa Ibom. There is none. So any person that will sit down in Venezuela and send a question, and they're talking about marginalization, it simply means that the person is out of touch with reality. That person is living in denial. That's one aspect of it. I must tell you that when they mention issues about, okay, for instance, in a place like Ikono, we have completed 52 projects, but there was a question here, what have the people of Ikono and Ini done to you? Now the people of Ikono and Ini, from 1960 have never produced a senator. I used my hand to strike out the name of the person who won before, and I said it is important for me to give that region a senator in 2007. And I produced Senator Akwa for him. That's where it comes from. Senator, take a bow. Thereafter, in 2011, I stood behind him, and he was re-elected. The first man in my senatorial district ever to be re-elected to the Nigerian Senate is Senator Akwa. Am I right or wrong? That is the area they are talking about. So for one of the local governments, of course, Professor Inudoka, is he here? He's on a second term. Stand up now, let them see you. He comes from there, he's in the Federal House. We've done at least 58 projects and commissioned them. In the local government, not less than 40 projects have been completed. What people may complain about could be that, yes, you haven't intervened so much in the roads. But the government had a policy. When we came, the roads in the urban areas were in very dilapidated state. So the first thing was, let us start first from the urban areas. Somebody could complain about Eket. In Eket, we did about 49 roads between 2007 and 2011. In a place like Uyo, we did up to 38 roads. In Ikot, we did up to 27. In total, we did up to 300 urban roads alone. That was the policy of government. The second phase, we now started intervening. As I speak now, those two local governments somebody mentioned here, we have given contract to STEMCO, 4.8 billion in road construction in Ine, and 4.8 billion in road construction in Ikoro. I don't know whether, Senator, I don't know whether you are aware. You are aware of it? That's the senator's local government. So I'm starting from the aspect of, oh, what have the people done to you? I'm not that kind of governor. And then you may ask me, why are you overdeveloping Uyo, remodeling Uyo? Uyo is our capital. Even the good governance tour, look at where they ended. Is it not in Uyo? Okay, look at this all down. If I did not build this, where would we have had this meeting? We would have gone to go and stand in front of somewhere. You see, this is a modern hall with two undergrounds. After this, please go underground and relax. This is part of the dividends of democracy. Now, in terms of roads, we have done over 1,000 kilometers of roads, and we have done over 200 kilometers of federal roads. Our minister, the federal government is owing us over 130 billion in intervention on federal roads. And somebody asks, why are you concentrating on federal roads? Why are you intervening on federal roads? Well, the rest of Akwa Ibom can tell the truth. It was very difficult. My village, coincidentally, is on Ikot Bank Road, which is part of the federal road that comes from Omaya. For 29 years, I had no road to my village. I used to park my car in Ikot, and if the Okada man does not know you, he will not give you a ride to go home. So when and most of the accidents that happened on those roads, I don't think there was any federal staff that died on that road. Most of them were Akwa Ibom people. Then between here and E2, on your way to Calabar, on this Ekritam road, passing through Senator Ogon's place, nobody could pass there. Itam Junction was flooded for 25 years. Today you go there, you see flyovers and fountains. And then last Christmas, you had over 500 people, even by 1 a.m., taking pictures. I don't know whether you enjoy the change. So, if you are getting angry with me that I have given a road to Senator Ogon, is he here? Senator Ogon, don't you think you have the best road in Nigeria? Thank you. If you are angry with me that I intervene on that road that goes to Calabar, 39 kilometers, complete with street lights, and if you are coming in from Calabar, once you branch, it's as if you are going towards heaven. If you are angry that I did that, and you want to say it's federal road, is it not Akwa Ibom people that pass there on a daily basis? Our people pass there every day. So for the good governance tour, you came to see good governance, and I'm sure you have seen enough, but you haven't seen anything yet. I wish you had time, Honourable Minister, to go down, because when you were talking, I noticed let me tell you something. It is not good to do this tour and come to your Ibom and do it for 3 days. It took me 6 years. You should at least have stayed for a month. Because when you were talking, somebody mentioned something about agriculture. I was smiling. Our women are so happy because even last year alone, we intervened by producing over, my wife, how many billions did you share to your women? How many billions? How many? What did she say? How many billions? Huh? Okay. For the women, good governance tour. Now listen to this. For the women to even buy seedlings, agricultural seedlings alone, she shared out 4.5 billion. And we have not, I don't want to talk about the ones we have spent on unemployed youth. We give them 500,000 naira each after training them. And they have poultry, they have hatchery, they have all sorts of things across the state. You don't have time to see those things. We have built as a government, which we are going to give out to the private sector to run, the biggest hatchery in South Nigeria that will produce day-old chicks in Oran here. And somebody from Oran was also writing, nothing is happening in Oran. Oran, the person that wrote, nothing is happening in Oran. Oran is also one of the local governments in the state that enjoys the housing project. We have just built 500 units of houses in Oran. Honourable Minister, did you see? That is the one that somebody said, why you have not done anything for Oran, and he was calling from Egypt. Was it Egypt or where? Where? Afghanistan. Honourable Minister. And outside that, we also have a completed estate inside Oran for all the local government, for the local government staff, the senior staff of local government, the chairman, vice chairman, secretary of council, divisional police officer, DCO, SSS, all living in one quarter, completed. And I think also with lawn tennis courts, completed. That we have built that in the 31 local governments of the state. We've done that. And in addition to that, we gave everyone a brand new housing estate of 500 units, already roofed and almost ready to be put to, almost functional. Not to talk about water, and that is also the place that has the hotel we completed. That is the Lumeridian Ibom Hotel, with that dualized thoroughfare. I mean, in Sukakara, we are doing so many roads. So somebody now comes up and writes and says, how come my local government has not seen road? And also, for 4.5 years, almost 5 years, the chairman of the State Universal Basic Education, the State Universal Education Board, was from Oran. And as far as I'm concerned, that position more than 3 ministers or 3 commissioners joining one. In addition to other positions. So I don't know where to start from. My idea actually was that this is not that state where the good governance tour will come and they will lack something to do. I knew that you were going to be tired because I was pitying you. I told the minister, I said, please try and visit many other states before you come here, because eventually you may not be able to see even 1/3 of what we have done. And it is very clear that you haven't seen anything. If you could come as good governance tour, you finish commenting here. And I did not hear any of you talk about the underground drainage system. The first pipe jacking underground drainage system in Africa. Didn't you see it? The Pronaco man, did you see it? The first in Africa. It is a unique technology that from one location, pipes are going around the town, gigantic pipes, almost 40 feet below the ground. 2 seconds after the rain, in areas covered, you don't see a single rainfall. I would have thought that you would comment on that kind of project, and then you will recommend it to other states. I'm not going to talk. We wanted to thank you for coming, because many of you are among those who write things in the internet. So I was asking the minister, I said, do you have the CLO Do you have CD? Do you have Pronaco? Do you have this? I said, he said yes. I said, I kept quiet. I said, let them come and see. Because I know whenever they hear that the governor is being honored, like one of them said, when the governor was talking, he was very angry. Now, where is that man that said, he's a former president of NANS. What's his name? Is he here? Is he still here? Huh? Where is it? Sarah, let me ask you, how many governor's offices have you gone to and seen what you saw? How many? Have you seen that kind of office before? With computers coming from... No, listen. No, let me tell him. Have you seen that kind of service delivery where a government starts a project and completes it in 8 months? And if you go and look, I'm building a brand new deputy governor's lodge and it will be completed in May. I give you the date, we are commissioning it in May. You have a brand new governor's lodge, you have a brand new governor's office, you have a brand new governor's banquet hall, you have 11 brand new guest houses, you have a deputy governor's lodge coming, you have over 2,000 units of houses. How many places have you gone to and seen those things? Former president of NANS, when I was trying to address you, I just did a trick. I pressed a button and the computers came in between your legs and you jumped up. How many places have you jumped up like that? So let me thank the good governance team and pray that this will be continuous. It must continue. You shouldn't end in just this one visit. Please try and come again. The reason why I was very eager to see you come here is that I knew that some of you have never been to Akwa Ibom, but many of you write a lot about Akwa Ibom. And how do you write about Akwa Ibom? You pick up what my people bring, they will circulate letters to the editor. The same human being will use different names. He can use up to 100 names. I know a man who wrote 64-page petition to Obama against me. He wrote petition to Obama. He attached names of people who died, including my grandmother, and said it is a Godswill Akpabio that masterminded the killing. And many of them who were writing were looking for 2011. After 2011, have you heard any story again? You've not. This is one of the most peaceful states in Nigeria. Our people are peace-loving. Our people are not kidnappers. And sometimes when you have problems, if your neighboring state has insecurity, it will, of course, dovetail because you have cross-border crimes. So what we need to do as leaders is to be our brother's keepers. We must collectively put our hands together to ensure that everywhere in Nigeria is safe. There is no way you can have famine in the neighboring country and it will not affect Nigeria because people will cross over here to look for food to eat. In the same way, if you have insecurity or if you have some militancy or otherwise in the neighboring state, it will definitely cross over into your state. It does not mean that your people are kidnappers. I don't want to mention a state, but I know a state that has so much kidnapping that the moment the federal government moved in with security services and then the federal government was able to solve the problem, automatically we also had peace. The second in command of the Abia state kidnappers, Osisi Kanku, was arrested in Akwa Ibom. He killed a driver of Ibom Power and collected his vehicle. And when the security services arrested, we did not even know he was the second in command of the Abia kidnapping syndicate at that time. But what would my people write on the internet? The governor has done it again. This was the only state in 2011, 2010, where every single crime was governor. The reason was because they had nothing to fault the government. Everybody wanted to be governor, but yet they didn't have anything to fault the governor. You don't change a performing team. If you have a governor who is doing so well, yes, If you have a governor who is doing so well, so how do you change him? You have to rubbish him. And the opposition believed then that you have to put Gota on his back so that before he turns around to remove it, your election is over. Of course, when they could not succeed, they brought violence. Nobody has talked about it. I still have evidence. Over 300 keke napep, over 200 brand new cars bought for mass transit were destroyed. If you have time, they are there in front of that secretariat. We have not removed them. We are keeping them for future Akwa Ibom children so that they will know that whoever wants to be a leader should abhor violence and that our people cannot vote violent people into power. Authority comes from God. If God does not give you, no matter how violent you are, you cannot get it. And this is a message we must give all Nigerians. Let them try and support President Goodluck Jonathan. It is not by violence that you take power. It's not by violence. God produces leaders. God creates from nothing. And unless a man is nothing, God can make nothing out of such a man. So I must say that I thank all of you, and especially the members of the National Assembly, led by Senator Akpabio. And when I said that I met my senator to become, I met Aloy to become a senator in 2007, I need to explain it so that you don't think that I wrote his name and he became senator. No. During the primaries of the PDP, we zoned the Senate to his federal constituency. And from his federal constituency, he emerged first in the primaries. That was what happened in the PDP. So we said since he was the first among the list of people who came from his federal constituency for a primaries, then he must be the one to become the senator. And after that, we presented him before the public in the general election, and he won. And in 2011, with my support, he had the highest votes in the entire country. Senator, am I right? You scored the highest number of votes scored by any. I hope they respect you in the National Assembly. They should, because he had the highest number of votes by any senator in the whole National Assembly. He scored the highest number of votes by any senator. And I'm very proud of what they are doing. When you go to the Senate and the National Assembly, my people are doing well, from Senator Itaina. And then even when he became the chairman of the pension probe committee, I knew that he would be the only one that would do that job with integrity and come out. No weapon fashioned against your name shall prosper. Because one thing that Akwa Ibom has is integrity. So I want to thank you people for supporting Mr. President and for what you are doing. Just keep up, because if you can't be a good leader unless you're a good follower. You can't be a good leader unless you're a good follower. The president of NUJ, you forgot to mention that even the NGGTour had seen the good works here. It is you that should have explained to that person who questioned me about uncommon transformation, not me, because you know why it is uncommon. You've been visiting Akwa Ibom before. That was why the NGGTour gave me an award. That was why I became some man of the year. That is why I have PhDs and doctorate degrees from various universities. That is why I was recognized with Lifetime African Achievement Award. That is why I was recognized by the United States Congress and given congressional commendation and recognition. Why do we call it uncommon transformation? And I will tell you the story. The story of uncommon transformation in Akwa Ibom is the story of 1 kilometer of road, which was named after the first cardinal in West Africa, Cardinal Ekanem of the Catholic Church. But that road was forgotten by government after government. And for 39 years, nobody could pass from one end to the other, but just 1 kilometer. So the owners of the stretches of the road went back and acquired their places and started planting things. Some people had plantain on their section, others had cassava. And nobody knew that it was a road. But when you go there, you will see signboard, Cardinal Ekanem Road, and it passes through the headquarters of the Catholic Diocese of Ikot-Ekpene local government. When I came in 2007, we sent bulldozers into that 1 kilometer of road. And we were shocked that within 1 year, not only did we asphalt the road, we also put street light. The Catholic Church did a high mass with 168 priests before we commissioned that road. And so they said this was a miracle worker, an uncommon transformation. Uncommon transformation in the sense that Senator Itaena, who is sitting here, comes from an area that had never seen that road in Ibom until I became a governor. And so when I did the Nodo of Seikarama Road, the chairman of the local government is there. Stand up, stand up. Yes. Yes. Akwa is the chairman of the local government. When we did that road for them, they wept. Uncommon transformation because a place like Etimekpo local government in Akwa Ibom was unaccessible since 1970. The Belly Bridge they had collapsed. And you have to pass through Abia State, pass through Ikorekpene to be able to access the rest of Akwa Ibom. A man who was carrying his child to school just 20 minutes away attempted to cross the Belly Bridge, and the child out of fear fell into the water and drowned. He brought out the 7-year-old child and kept the child on his legs and wept for 4 hours and said, "What will I tell my wife when I get home?" I went there for campaign. The deputy speaker is here from that community. Commissioner for housing, is that not your local government? I went there for campaign. I'm telling the good governance tour, the origin of our government transformation. Senator Nyetokun, you said you went with me. We could not get out of that local government from 6 o'clock up to 1 a.m. because there was no road. This administration intervened. They say it's part of the federal road that crosses into Abia State. We finished 56 kilometers. And people say that I should not have been angry. Why shouldn't I have been angry? I had no road to my place for 29 years. Why shouldn't I have been angry? For all of you members of the Good Governance Tour, you need to be angry with the situation of things for you to change your community. I keep saying it. I said Nigeria is lucky today. Look at the emphasis of Mr. President on education. I'm not criticizing past leaders, but a man who went to university and read up to PhD level, like Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, understands the need for education. I don't know where you understand my point. I'm not going to say anything so that nobody will quote me. But I believe that is why he believes, and he knows very well that it is easy to lead people who are well educated. Education is key. And somebody has asked me here, what are you going to do about Akwa Ibom children who are still being used as houseboys and housegirls? And I will say the person is living in the past. What I did, I signed the Child Rights Protection Law, and I embellished a provision that makes basic education compulsory and makes it a criminal offense for any parent or guardian that has a child of school age in my state and does not allow that child to have education. I declare free and compulsory education, not just for the Akwa Ibom child, but for any Nigerian child that is lucky to be in Akwa Ibom state. That is why today we have 1.67 million children in schools in a state that has a population of less than 5 million. That's the way to solve that problem. People went and became houseboys, housegirls, and sold groundnut on the streets of Port Harcourt and streets of Lagos because they had no opportunity to be in school. But this government has given them that opportunity. Even some of our children that were taken to Gabon to go and stay as child prostitutes, many of them, when they heard about the common transformation and the free education, they came back. They had no parents. My wife is taking care of them. Good governance tour. Before you leave tomorrow morning, go to Divine Children's Home here in Uyo. Go and see over 680 children. They have no parents. They are all in school now. I'm going to produce them, and they are the future senators of tomorrow. They are the future senators of tomorrow. We are taking care of them. They are all in school. We're giving them uniform. We said they must have education. That is the way we are attacking the future. You have not visited even the project done through charity service by the First Lady. Not through government. People donate money to her, and she goes into villages and picks out widows who have no homes at all. Some of them will start thatch roof houses, and she builds houses for them. You need to know the kind of appreciation. I don't think I should continue. Let me look for the questions. So I have attempted to answer the question on common transformation. You notice I'm not angry. So I have also attempted to answer the question of what made me angry. It was a situation I found. But I'm happy now that the anger is waning. And somebody asked me about zoning. I said zoning is in the hands of God. You know, I'm a product of the people. The people brought me out. We were 58 in number from the 3 senatorial districts of Akwa Ibom. There were people from Uyo senatorial district. There were people from Akwa senatorial district. There were people from Eke senatorial district. And we all came, and at the end, the people knew who they wanted. They stayed on the road for 5 days, and they all shouted, "Let God's will be done." So for those of you who are worried about succession, all I can answer you is that God's will shall be done again. So God's will shall be done again. Industrialization. We are working very hard to bring industries to the state. One of the things we are doing is that we are attempting to partner with the private sector to build industrial clusters. But even at that, we have also, through Ekipop, encouraged some private individuals who have already opened small factories here and there. We want to see whether we can have at least one small factory or one small industry per local government. I just mentioned to you that we have completed with the private sector a gas processing plant in Esreket, and we did 69 kilometers of gas pipeline to supply to Ibom Power, Aluminium Smelter Company, and it's also going to supply to the NIPP in Calabar. Our people are being employed there. We have a very robust plan to bring up Ibaka Industrial City, not just the deep sea port alone. And we are on a road show as I speak with you. We have investors from Ghana who are here now to discuss on agriculture, integrated agricultural program. So we are very serious about it. Every single contract we give also creates jobs for our people. That is why when you were going around, you would have noticed that most of those who were working on almost all the sites were Akwa Ibom people. Thousands of jobs are also being created. Yes, it was a civil service state that we met. But there are basic things you must do before you jump into industries. There were industries in the past, but they all became moribund. Why? The result, you know very well, part of the problem was the lack of power. Somebody asked me, how come you have finished Ibom power plant and there is no power? The reason is because distribution is not yet in the hands of the state. Distribution is still in the hands of the federal government. All we have is the generation license. We don't have license for transmission, we don't have license for distribution. But I believe strongly that as the federal government's policy unfolds and the new distribution companies come on stream, it will be possible for us to ensure that we domesticate the power we are producing and we give you 24-hour slide. What will please me the most will be for me to be the first person to experiment and give my state 1 year uninterrupted power supply before I leave office. And somebody said that I was opposing state creation. No. All I said, we should know is that even with 36 states, we have a situation whereby some states may not be as viable as others. In a federation, normally, you allow everybody to grow at his own pace. What was happening in Nigeria in the past was that some sections attempted to press others down permanently. In the process, we all stayed down. And that is the reason why I'm trying to allow my women to rise. Because if you press women, if you attempt to press women down, you have to stay down. If you press somebody down, you stay down. So when we had independence and when we came back from the war, policies were made in order to ensure that certain sections were pressed. I always tell you, I said, if we wanted to have real, true reconciliation, there was really no point not starting flyovers in Enugu and Akwa Ibom, because these were the areas that the bombs exploded most. We shouldn't have started flyovers in Lagos. Reconstruction should have started from here. But I used to sleep in primary school buildings for over 5 to 7 years because there was no single building and there was no road. Not to talk of education. Many people my age could not make it beyond secondary school level because they didn't have, some could not even go to secondary school because they did not have 10 naira. After primary school, they became welders. So I'm just privileged to stand in front of you. That was a lot of this area. Of course, we had parents who had money, but who had houses. The houses were declared abandoned properties. And so even you look at your father's house, you cannot enter. What about your bank account? Every single person who had an account in the Eastern region was given £1. You were given £1, even if you had £1 million. And yet Nigeria was going on. I was in Lagos when somebody met me when I was voted Silver Best Man of the Year. And then they showed a film of the Civil War with a child with Koshoko. And I was sitting with a lady who turned to me and said, could this be possible? Or is that a film? I became sad. I told that woman that child you are seeing there was me. Because that was the way I looked during the Civil War. With Koshoko and with all sorts of flies following me wherever I was moving. So that kind of child cannot be the same. So, and this is the truth. So what we must do now is for us to free our minds in Nigeria and allow all sections of the country to rise. Let's not look down on any section. Let's give equal opportunities to all so that this country can move forward. And that is why I appeal to all Nigerians. Give an opportunity, since you have now shown that Nigeria can work and you have elected the first minority as president, support that person to succeed. If Goodluck Jonathan succeeds, Nigeria has succeeded. Do not try to sabotage Goodluck Jonathan and explode bombs everywhere, do this and do that because it's Goodluck Jonathan. Otherwise, what goes round comes round. So, I'm not neglecting the oil-bearing communities. We have a big problem with Ibom Road. I hope the minister should have visited it. The contract has been toyed for 11 years by NGGTour. And we've done everything possible, and they said they have not terminated the contract. ExxonMobil is worried, I'm worried, and I hope the Honourable Minister will impress upon NGGTour to do something so that at least that area can have succor. I feel for the people, and I want to do something about it. They've gone to court to try to stop me. The contractor said he hasn't been paid off, and I think it's time for the federal government, the oil company, and NGGTour to sit on the table and take very proactive measures, we should take action immediately so that we can solve the problem of that Ibom today. The current compromise on payment of 200 meters isobars for offshore oil wells and all those things, even the 13%, took a lot. It took us 50 years to arrive at that. So when people try to take us backwards, I always say, no, not my country. Because we cannot be taking one step forward and 2 steps backwards. So I will appeal to our leaders that we should be forward-looking. But I also tell my leaders that I get very sad when we depend on only one item to feed the economy. I went to Australia and I saw that Australia had nothing to do with this recession. In fact, Western Australia had billions of dollars in excess in 2011. They are not feeling, they have full employment in Australia. And what are they doing? Mining. Every state of this nation has one mineral deposit or the other embedded in its soil. But we are not exploiting. We used to have tin ore. We used to have bauxite in Jos. We have all sorts of things. We have gold in Nasarawa. We have this. It is mining that sustains Australia. But we are not exploiting, we are not exploring all those things. We depend on crude oil alone. And we want to say that we are a rich nation. We are not a rich nation. Because if Kuwait is rich vis-a-vis the oil production and the population. If Libya is rich, Libya produces more than Nigeria, and the population is not more than 4 million. The entire United Arab Emirates, the population is not more than 2.5 million. And they produce maybe 5 to 7 times what we are producing. You cannot produce 2.4 million barrels and feed 160 million people. Another person produces 5 million barrels and feeds only 1.2 million people. You cannot be the same. Therefore, we must look for alternative sources of generating revenue. Every soil in Nigeria has one mineral deposit or the other embedded in it. So we shouldn't be talking about derivation. But if derivation is good, we should even increase it to encourage others to explore their own. And I refer you to the book written by Russell Cornwell called Acres of Diamond. Acres of Diamond is the story of Ali Harvard. Ali Harvard was a man who sold his land and went in search of gold. He traversed the length and breadth of Asia, and out of frustration, 7 years later, he committed suicide off the coast of Barcelona. But when he left his land that he sold, gold was discovered there. And today, the greatest gold mine in Asia is located on Ali Harvard's property. So that thing we are looking for in Niger Delta may be embedded in Kano. May the Lord take you back safely in Jesus' name. Can I